Hello, my name is Lawrence Robinson. Over the last few weeks, the community has been involved with intense discussions about the sanctity of bringing a Walmart into our Washington Shores neighborhood. On Facebook and other social media, we received hundreds of comments, chats, likes, and even phone calls about the subject. We are directly involved in about 4 discussions dealing with this subject. We are members of several groups where comments were made about this topic. In addition, we went out and talked to people in the community face to face. We talked to business owners and residents. We talked to pastors and entrepreneurs. We talked to product developers and service providers of many types. We created a spreadsheet and analyzed this information from various scenarios. Overwhelmingly, the responses are against the idea of bringing Walmart to Washington Shores. Clearly, over 94% of the responses don't want the store in the community. Let me say here, personally, I sometimes shop at Walmart. Their policies are okay with me. It's their practices that I have a problem with. So, if 94% of the feedback that we received do not want Walmart in the neighborhood, why is it being brought in? The developer, Bishop Allen Wiggins of the Hope Church, said that the area is a food desert and that it is hard to find fresh vegetables and fruit in the area. Developer Wiggins also said that there was a lack of banks, restaurants, and educational outlets in the area. By the way, I call Bishop Wiggins the developer because he called himself the developer. The analysis of the hundreds of comments that we received addressed completely different issues. There are needs in the community, but none of the comments talked about the area being a food desert. No one mentioned a lack of vegetables or fruit either. With a black-owned bank less than 3 blocks away, why do we need another bank here? The developer, Bishop Wiggins, talked about lack of educational opportunities. The responses agreed that with that statement, but on a different level. The respondents overwhelmingly believe that black community needs to relearn how to do business with other blacks again. We need to learn again how to respect and treat each other. We need to learn that helping our own community is actually helping ourselves. We need to be educated about our ancestors. We need to know that our history did not begin with slavery. There were other comments that touch on the problems of the community as well. These include a lack of variety of shops. The businesses are not as clean looking as they can be. There is a shortage of customer service. There seems to be a dangerous atmosphere around the neighborhood. Prices are a little higher. People seem to be loitering and hanging out around the businesses. At this point, we feel that we have heard most of the questions and concerns as they relate to this topic. We feel that we have a good understanding of the frustrations in the community generally and as they relate to the possibility of Walmart specifically. We created and continually update a spreadsheet that categorized the comments and other collected data. We developed a generalized framework that shows what the community wants and the solution it wants to see. It is obvious from the comments that Walmart is not wanted in the area. The question is, what do the community want? What changes are we willing to make to achieve our goal? How long will it take for these changes to be effective? Can we develop a program or system that the community will embrace? A system which can grow businesses, create businesses, and support the community. We define the factors and solutions needed for success. Now we just need to figure out the details, making sure that everyone wins. The framework that we created is results of what the community says the problems are and what fixes need to occur that will make the community whole again. There are charts and graphs and that will explain the overview. This overview shows the big picture of possibilities and steps to get to where we want to go. This is a real answer to a real problem. This overview shows how to support entrepreneurs, brick and mortar businesses, churches, ministries, and other entities. Entire communities could change and benefit by this process within a few months. This is an overview of the concept. We now need to complete the details. Please watch the video. We need your help. Who do you know? that understands the concept of business development and is willing to help develop a comprehensive plan that will work for everyone. We need your help. Okay, I just want to say this. Everything that we say here, you've already heard. Everything. There is nothing new. There is no new age technology that is going to make our problems go away. There is no cutting edge development. There is no high-speed database or laser-like bio-gizmo that is going to solve these issues for us. We have got to do it ourselves. We already know how. On some of our previous videos, you've heard Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X talk about it. That was 50 years ago. I've listened to recordings that Marcus Garvey created 120 years ago where he talked about the same subject. Madam C.J. Walker talked about it. It's not new. What I'm going to tell you, you've already heard. Okay, the first thing we need to do is name and define the components of the operation. The component name, first one is facilitator. The description is the lead organization. For our purposes, we're going to call that facilitator Community Steeple. The second component is the pastor or leader of a small church. This is a church with from 10 to maybe 200 members in a congregation. Third component is leader of a ministry. Could be a church ministry, may not be. Anyway, the leader of this ministry is in need of generating funds. The next component is entrepreneur. This is a person who has a ready-to-sell product that maybe he has created around the dining room table or in the garage, and he just needs to increase his customer base. The next component is the brick and mortar business. This is any business where the customers visit to get served. The next component is manufacturer, producer, distributor. This is a company that manufactures, produces, or distributes products for sale. A big organized company. The next component is community project organization. This is an organization whose mission it is to help or support the community. For our purposes, we're going to name this organization the Henry McKinnon Fund, but it could be any. Or for some purposes, you don't even need this. But anyway, those are our components, and that's their definition. Okay, these components together as a unit, we're going to call a cluster. A cluster, okay? So all the components is called a cluster. Now, this cluster is focusing on a niche market. A niche market is a subset of the total market that your organization has determined as underserved for the products or services that you offer. For the purposes of our demonstration here, the niche market that this particular organization, this cluster is focusing on is the black population in general and Central Florida in particular. Now, what we're doing here is anybody could do any of the things that we're talking about here, from the top to the bottom. For our purposes, we're going to focus on this one market. You could take this and run with it and do whatever you want. Okay? The main objective of this cluster is to create an atmosphere where black consumers purchase products and services from black-owned businesses and the community flourishes. That's the objective, okay? Where black consumers purchase products and services from black-owned businesses. Let's understand everyone's position in a cluster. Let's understand everyone's position in the cluster. We need to understand what their needs are, and we need to understand what each component brings to the group. Let's start with the facilitator. The facilitator is usually the organizer of the cluster. This is the component that directs and organizes all aspects and cluster functions. There is an advisory committee made up of cluster members. If a cluster was one large company instead of many separate companies, the facilitator would be the administrator. Their duties are many, but for now, we will focus on just these few. The facilitator will organize the churches in an area by showing the benefits of working as a team. The facilitator will organize leaders of church ministries and other ministries as fundraising liaisons for their church or their group. The facilitator will find and organize entrepreneurs and negotiate price points for their services. The negotiator will organize brick and mortar businesses and negotiate deals where they will display and sell the products of entrepreneurs and manufacturers, producers, and distributors. The facilitator will work with community project leaders to develop community programs and generate funds to support these programs. Each church in the cluster should participate in this effort. Okay, that's the facilitator. Okay, the next component we're going to deal with is the pastor leader of a small church. After joining the group cluster, this church congregation becomes part of the church customer base for all components. The pastor leader is responsible for directing his congregation to participate in cluster activities, ensure that congregation members receive written cluster announcements weekly, ensure that congregation learns of cluster activities during all services, ensure that the congregation knows that participating in cluster activities are crucial to the church's financial survival. Okay, so the pastor or leader of a small church responsible for making sure that the congregation knows what's going on as far as a cluster is concerned, to make sure of the financial survival of the church. That's the responsibilities of the church leader. Okay, the next component is leader of church ministries, or it could be any ministry. It doesn't have to be a church ministry. The leader of the ministry, after joining the group cluster, this ministry becomes part of the customer base for all components. The duties and benefits are equivalent to leader of a small church. They've become the customer base for the businesses that we're going to bring into the cluster. Okay, next component is entrepreneur. When joining the group cluster, the entrepreneur would have negotiated a price point for his or her product or service. He will have available products or services in sale-ready condition. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs, make jewelry, make handmade pillows, pens, soaps, perfumes, those kinds of things, or it could be something else, but just to give you an idea of what entrepreneur brings to the table here. Okay, the next component, the brick and mortar businesses. After joining the group cluster, this business will allow display of products from entrepreneurs, manufacturers, producers, and distributors within their businesses as directed by the facilitator. Okay, so you see what's going on here? Everybody is coming into the cluster is going to work with everybody else to build everybody else. This is what's going on. We're all starting to work together. Okay, the next component, manufacturer, producer, distributor. After joining the group cluster, will offer their products for sale at agreed price points that will allow fair compensation to be distributed to components as agreed based on margin. Okay, so these guys already have items for sale, and we're going to use those items to make money for the group. They're already out there. They're already doing that. We're just going to focus on them so that they will focus on us. Okay, the next component is a community project organization. And this is an organization whose mission it is to support the community or special initiative. Okay, such an organization you might think of as United Way or the Red Cross. Okay, because of the mission of this cluster, we're focusing on the Henry McKinnon Fund because it focuses on issues that are dear to our hearts. Okay, if you if you operate a cluster, then you can focus on whatever you want based on what the members of the clusters want to do. Okay? Okay, now that you know what a cluster is, you know the components of a cluster, and you know what we're trying to do here as far as the mission of this particular cluster. The easiest way to explain how the system works is to do a follow-through with a few scenarios, okay? So you get a feel of what's happening. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do about 2 or 3 scenarios so you'll see where this is all going. And you're going to understand when we do this that this is something that you are already doing. It may have been a little complex getting to this point, but now you'll understand you're already doing this. You're already doing this. It's just restructuring what you're already doing. This is easy stuff.
Hi, this is Darlene Robinson. Now let's look at a few scenarios. Let's start with the facilitator company, which is named Community Steeple. Community Steeple's focus is to help establish more black businesses in our community, starting with the Washington Shores area with our first project called Restore Washington Shores. Community Steeple has organized 20 church leaders in the Washington Shores area. Community Steeple has made agreements with several black product manufacturers. One of these companies produces specialty steering wheel covers with the Jesus name on it. Let's say that the selling price of one of these steering wheel covers to the public is $19.95. Since the facilitator has organized 20 churches, he and the manufacturer feels that they could sell enough product that the manufacturer lowers the wholesale price to $10 apiece. The facilitator sets a 2-week marketing campaign for these items for the 20 churches. For example, the campaign may begin May 12th and end May 26th. The facilitator will make sure that the manufacturer has enough product on hand for the expected increase in sales. The facilitator will provide order forms, flyers, and other materials the churches may need for the marketing campaign and deliver these items to the church as needed. The church leaders will distribute the order forms to the participating members of the congregations. These members will order the item that they want, but more importantly, they will take the order forms to their friends, family members, jobs in order to get more orders. At the end of the 2-week period, the participating church congregation members will return the order forms along with the appropriate payment for the items ordered. The church leader will reconcile the orders with the money and keep the church as part of the funds and send the balance to the facilitator. The facilitator in return will also reconcile the orders with the money he received and then order the products and send the manufacturer's money to them. The product should arrive within 2 to 4 weeks at a designated delivery location and then distributed to the people who purchase the products. So the next question is, how is this money distributed? In this example, we said that the facilitator was able to negotiate the wholesale price of the steering wheel covers to $10 each and to be sold retail for $19.95 each. That means there's a $9.95 margin. $19.95 will be collected with each item ordered. $4 church portion, leaving $15.95. The $15.95 minus the facilitator and community project portion leaves $10. $10 goes back to the manufacturer. Of the $5.95 that's retained by the facilitator, $3.95 is for shipping and handling and management of the project, leaving the $2. That $2 from every steering wheel sold goes to a community project. And here's a great example of how it all works. For example, if each of the 20 churches sold 100 items, then each church would keep $400. So the community project would receive $4,000 a month. So if they do this every month, the church would create extra funding of $4,800 a year, plus the community project would receive $48,000 a year. I just wanted to mention here that there will be numerous products as well as services that will be added to this program every month. So wouldn't you agree that this is what you are probably doing now? Because this is how traditional fundraising is done every single day. Every year, your child, grandchild, niece or nephew's elementary school, band, or sports organization raises money the same exact way. Your kids bring home fundraising forms every year, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year. You go to work and in the break room there's a box of chocolate bars, and you take one and you leave $1. Might be $2 now because of inflation. But your friends at the job are raising money for their church or youth organization and ask you to help, and you do help out. So this is nothing different from what you were already doing. It's only scheduled by us for us. The products are from black manufacturers. This cluster is to support black businesses. All else is the same. Throughout the history of this country, black people have created products that have changed the world. A black man created the shoe lasting machine, which revolutionized the shoemaking industry, but he died without a dime. So who profited financially from his efforts? A black man revolutionized the refrigeration industry, but who profited financially from his efforts? Now, wouldn't you agree that it is time for us as a community to start benefiting from our own efforts, recycling our dollars, and revitalizing our own communities, starting right here in Central Florida?
Yes, you're right. I have met many entrepreneurs who have products or services ready to sell but don't have money to initiate a marketing plan or produce more than a few products at a time. For instance, I have a friend who turns wood to make writing pens. He could only make a few hundred a year. I know a lady who has turned her home into a giant loom. She creates the most beautiful wall hangings that I have ever seen. I know a lady who creates the most beautiful pillows by hand. I know people who create the most fantastic jewelry. My wife loves elephant jewelry. Guess what she's getting for Mother's Day? There is a husband-wife team who creates all natural soaps, lotions, and skincare products. There is this lady who has sensitive skin and was forced to produce her own all-organic skincare products. The thing is, some people just need a little help to move to the next level. Some want to sell just a few more products a month to make ends meet. Others want to grow their hobby into an income-producing company. Most don't need much. All need a little support. They all could use some marketing help to create or increase their customer base.
So the next question is, what would happen if the facilitator talked to some brick and mortar businesses in the neighborhood? Businesses like daycare centers, beauty salons, barber shops, auto repair shops, practically any business where the customer comes to that particular business. The facilitator will present a marketing plan of the product to the brick and mortar business. The brick and mortar businesses will set aside some space for the products. The marketing plan creates a customer base for the product and therefore the brick and mortar business. The facilitator has already organized 20 churches and therefore 20 congregations. The plan will provide for some compensation to the church. Let's say the entrepreneur creates bath and body products, and the facilitator has worked a deal to put these products into a beauty salon. The church leader will announce a special promotion for that product at that particular salon. The facilitator would have created flyers, and each church member will receive the flyer after each church service. The facilitator will be responsible for warehousing the products. When products are sold through the salon owner will pay the facilitator. The facilitator will distribute to the churches its compensation. This method will create a customer base for the entrepreneur and will create a larger customer base for the brick and mortar store as well. The theory is the customer will come in for the bath and beauty products but will purchase other items or services while they're there. Win-win situation. All right, let's say there's a corner grocery store in the area and the store is not doing the quantity of business that he could be doing. The owner believes that if he had more customers, he could stock better quality and even more variety of healthier foods. He would like to give back to the community, to help the homeless locally. He would like to paint his building and put more lights up, but he feels that he can't because he doesn't have the loyal customer base. The local customers are going out of the area to purchase their goods. Now that the facilitator understands the problem, he has made a deal with this corner grocery store to increase his customer base and income, if he agrees in writing to improve his products as well as the property. The facilitator presents a marketing plan. The grocery store agrees to put some items on special group rate sales on food staples, for example, bread, milk, eggs, sugar. Remember now that the facilitator has already made agreements with 20 churches and therefore 20 congregations. If the average congregation size is 100 members, then that is 2,000 people. Over the next month, each congregation member will spend at least $50 in the corner grocery store buying products that they would normally purchase anyway. This new money to the corner store breaks out to 2,000 customers times $50 of purchases each customer equals $100,000 per month. The local store owner keeps his agreement and adds more quality and healthier foods, like fresh fruits and vegetables. He also adds new equipment to offer fresh meats in his store. He paints the outside, fixes up the parking lot, and puts up a new awning. The store looks brand new. The local residents continue to visit his store because now it is just what they wanted and needed. The community is now happy to have participated in the efforts to restore Washington Shores because they now have newfound pride of shopping in their community.
Okay, there you have it. This is a very simple yet workable solution. And like we said in the beginning, there is nothing new here. You've heard everything before. Most of these things you are already doing. The difference is you will be redirecting your money to your community and yourself. We earn and spend over $1 trillion a year. If we just redirect part of that back to ourselves, look at what we could do. With this plan, we can fix our financial situation within just a few years. This plan creates jobs, allows for community projects, grows the church community, strengthens the neighborhood, all without depending on much government help. This is a limited overview. We know that it is not perfect, but it is a great blueprint that if followed will work for the community. This is a start. This is a great start. If interested in moving forward with us, call and leave a message or email us. The information is on the screen. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your support. I look forward to your comments.